Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Joanne Stevens, and this is our weekly call-in show for mobile home park participants and also mobile home industry participants. So welcome, everybody. And we have a special guest today. I'm going to be interviewing Steve Case. Steve is a community owner in the Southeast United States, and he's going to tell us what all he is involved with. But our topic today is SECO, S-E-C-O, and that's the Southeastern United States Industry Trade Show that's coming up very soon. So we'll give you the dates for that. But before I introduce Steve, I'm going to make an announcement. And if you go to my website, Joanne M. Stevens, and that's Joanne M. Stevens with a V, and click on Save the Date, you'll be able to see the dates for SECO. That's the next industry event coming up, and then also you'll be able to see information on the National Communities Council event that is coming up in November 1 to 3 in Chicago. So keep that website in mind to know about future events, and you'll be able to click on the link to get the information and even register if you'd like to do that. So today I'm actually at the George Allen Roundtable in Indianapolis, and as always, it's a very informative event with a lot of community owners, a lot of lenders, a lot of manufacturers here. So it's that if you haven't attended or you should definitely plan to attend the next roundtable. It's always in September, and George Allen varies the locations. So, Steve, are you with us?
Yes, I am, Joanne. I appreciate you having me today.
Yeah. So, Steve Case, like I mentioned, is a community owner, and he's also the founder of SECO, S-E-C-O, and I'm going to ask him about how that all got started, more about it, his background, hopefully, but I know he has been in the Air Force and is was a fighter pilot, and so he's had a very good background to be in the community business. In fact, one of the first things I learned, or somebody told me when I got into this business, well, the people with the military background, they do well in the community business. And so, Steve, tell us, thank you for joining us, and tell us, if you would, how did SECO get started?
Well, it actually started about the dream child of Spencer Roan, who I think is probably at the event with you there at George's Roundtable, and David Roden. And I'm sorry?
He is. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Actually, he started along with David Roden, and there were about 10 other park owners in the Southeast down here in Georgia who decided to get together and talk about our different properties, mutual concerns we had, and aspirations, and how we could upgrade them and help the residents who live in them. And it all was a brainchild of really Spencer and David, and just a few of us tagged along, and I've been fortunate enough to be involved with it since its inception. This will be the 8th meeting that we have this year for SECO.
Well, that's phenomenal. These things start with an idea, don't they? And,
yeah, they sure do, and it's blossomed over the years, Joanne. It really started out with just a few of us getting together at a central meeting location, and then met in a hotel conference room up in Atlanta, where we had different speakers come up. Most of them were community owners that talked about the things they were doing that worked, that helped with our different goals of making communities better, increasing profits, also increasing equity. And Spencer got really involved with George Allen, the meeting you're at now, and come up with the community series throughout the manufacturing community to recognize mobile home communities and the type of product that we needed in our parks for our tenants. And along with it came multiple vendors who've reached out and took care of different needs that we've had in the community down here. And the event's grown. This year we expect 350 people, attendees, with 6 mobile homes that are going to be on display, and probably 40 different vendors are going to be there, which, by the way, is really for small and mid-sized community owners, managers. But we'll be speakers of folks that are doing great things in their communities and different methods, whether it's marketing, advertising. There's a lot of things going on. So our schedule is very robust this year.
And Steve, tell us what the community series is.
Community Series Home, it was a lot of input from Spencer, myself, David Roden, several other community owners, not only in the state of Georgia, but throughout the country, inside our communities. It wasn't the low-level product. It was very inexpensive. It was more of an upgrade. It had more options. We call them a few more bells and whistles. And we had several of the manufacturers that came and listened to us and put together prototypes that we showed it, got input from more community owners. And I think they've pretty much now got it down to a science on a price point and what works in the communities. And they worked very well. Most of the manufacturers worked very well with the community owners in designing this product that's affordable and at the same time is made very well, and it appeals to the tenant or the customer.
Yeah, that's quite interesting that you all came up with the idea to approach the manufacturers, because before that, I think the conventional wisdom was, well, that this want what the residents need or what the consumer needs, and so that community series really has kind of been a breakthrough, don't you think, for the communities?
Oh, it absolutely has. Spencer's one of the leading guys, I think, that buys for like I said, a small and mid-sized operator, the new home series in his communities. We've all bought new ones, and it's really worked out well. It upgrades your park. It makes for a better acquisition on a tenant or a homeowner. And it really we used to fill up our communities with repoed homes and refurbed homes. Now have been fantastic.
Yeah, and if you don't mind telling us kind of what the price range of some of the are charging. The reason I wanted to ask you that is because I think that their manufacturers rep and they get a sales presentation for a home that is just too pricey for their community, so there's that disconnect. So do you mind sharing what kind of a price range that the community series
Sure.
is?
Not at all. Of course, it's going to vary throughout the country, but I can just kind of give you an idea of what we pay down here. And it depends on the model. Most of us are buying 1680 single wides, which is, 72 foot of floor space by 16, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Now, there's some community owners that can't have a home that would fit in a slot that big, so they end up buying a 2-bedroom, maybe a 70-foot home down here. Runs with some good upgrades, would run probably as high as $30,000. We're actually, Joanne, going to have one at his property, a 16 by 80, what's called a porch model. It's got an 8-foot porch out on the front, which is a beautiful addition to it. And we're going to raffle that off to one of the attendees for free. But the invoice on that one, I think, was somewhere around $35,000. So it had a little bit of a higher cost, but it's a very, very beautiful home. So I understand it maybe more than factories. It depends on the shipping. Shipping costs play a lot in the final invoice.
We're going to raffle, so somebody who attends this SECO event could have a chance.
Absolutely. We've been toying with that idea for a few years. Let's go ahead and do it. We've got a Fleetwood 16 by 80 attendees. One of the park owners, not the vendors, won't be able to raffle on the second day of the event, and somebody will win that home. Now, or California, obviously, I can't haul that home all the way back out west. And we understand that if somebody wins it that's out of state, we're actually going to do an auction right afterwards, and they'll be able to sell the home to maybe a local person or so forth, and they'll end up getting the money. But somebody's going to win that home. Beautiful home.
Well, that's quite an incentive to attend SECO.
And yeah. But I think it's $299 for the event. It's a 2-day event, and you're going to get a lot of great information out of the event. I know we were going to talk a little bit later about the agenda, who's going to be speaking, what manufacturing. We have a high repeat attendee list, probably 80%.
Well, that's quite a that's very there's more competition for park owners, and if you started only 8 years ago and have 350. And
well, we've always tried, Joanne, to keep the cost down out of this SECO event about 6 years ago. And one of the objectives we all stated is this was not to be any kind of profit generated by any of the planning committee, the founders, or anything. So we put all the money that's brought in. Unlike some events, we're not going to be soliciting the sale of any product or anything like that. So we've always kept it that way. We just want sales to be able to see what products are out there, to meet some of the vendors that we all use in our businesses, know people that have the same type of communities and the same type that comes out of SECO.
And so is it mostly United States park owners, or give us who they would expect to network with?
Well, I would say, and I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but to go, 65% of the people are from the Southeast in Alabama. And the rest are we've had them come from California, with Park Opways, not large to the equity group type people, but he owns more in the Iowa, Oklahoma area. So we have them come from all, and they're all, like I said, we cater to the small to mid-sized, some people that come that are thinking about getting into business as well. And it's a great, great place for someone to come and meet people and ask questions before they go out and make that first acquisition.
It is business was that the people who own the other park owners, I don't think that's necessarily the key, even if you're not, and you have a question or a problem, that you can just, the other experience or how they solved different problems.
That's correct. It's a really, really different environment than most people expect. And I've got a secret type of mentality. They don't want to explain asset much better. Well, it's totally different because they want to make sure or help others become successful. So it's.
Yeah, and so tell us, and then there's exhibitors. So who are picking at
Sure.
SECO?
What we have, Joanne, is we have what's called a pre-day type of event. And typically what we've done in the past is we wanted some of our vendors, our biggest vendors that helps us out with SECO's rent manager, that probably 80 to 90% of, they're going to be doing a workshop on Tuesday. I believe it's the basics of rent manager. They're going to do a 2-hour workshop in the morning. And then we have MH Village, who has also helped us, going to be giving a workshop that same day on Tuesday. So those are what we call to help offset the cost of the company. I can't remember the price, but it's under $100.
That's it. Let me see if I may. Let me interrupt the SECO and then this pre-SECO. What is the date of the rent manager in MH Village?
That will be that will be Tuesday, October the 10th. And I'll give the website out, Joanne, a couple times, but it's SECO, SECO conference. They can sign up there, and as well as see all of these different October the 10th, which is a Tuesday, and then the SECO.
Okay. As you're the pre-SECO. Is it Wednesday? Is that the first day of SECO?
That's correct. It'll be presentations, and most of the presentations are pretty standard. What we do 30 minutes, and then we open the floor to questions for 15 minutes. 50 on individual speakers or presenters and panels to be able to get up and talk about what they're doing and explain different, give you some of the topics that are going to be on the different types by renting, selling, and seller financing, and it all centers around the new internet marketing trends and tactics that community owners in internet marketing. We're going to have a series homes and what's included, and also we'll get input for. We're going to have a topic that is a speaker who's going to talk about the inner makings and the inner workings of the Federal Reserve and interest. Yeah, he's deep inside that organization, and it's going to kind of give us a forecast of what in the future, which will benefit or help a lot of us when we're making decisions about interest rates and so forth. We're going to have a group of banks that loan money to park operators, community owners, for either also for acquisition. There's going to be some local banks, even if you don't live in Georgia or in the Southeast, seeing credit lines to buy homes. We call that need money to brokers, and appraisers come for an hour about cap rates. If you're thinking about selling, what you're going to be, we're going to have Jefferson. He also has owns about 20 communities now. Him and his partner, cash flow and value that he's been using himself at his properties in Oklahoma, up in Indiana in the Midwest.
Right.
Discussion about whether you should rent or sell your mobile among local community owners that some love them or get financing from outside sources. So we're going to have a discussion on that. Panel come up and tell you how to market the homes, different avenues that you can use, maybe how to stage the homes. There's probably, if I were to sit here, we'd be here another 10 minutes on the different topics. That's some of the highlights.
What I heard you say, Steve, early in the conversation was that most of the real estate investment trust owners who may or may not be there, but are tremendous. I can tell you as a broker of park owners who are generally association that they don't often have very much on their mind, or if they're not, when you were talking about what is some
Right.
of those will be things that they're consciously thinking improve the cash flow, and especially marketing the homes, whether it's the internet marketing, are things that people really do need to, and also be at a thing, because if I find many, and they're very good at the park operations, but when it comes to the homes, that even if they have homes to sell, are very timely.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a part of the planning committee and I work with Spencer and David. I learn something new every year as people come. Last year that was tremendous, very inexpensive, and I didn't know a whole lot about that, but somebody was lying out there that if you want more information on its home, text, and it had some confrontational way, go up, drive in front of the home, get a plethora of information, sell multiple homes for that little amount of money. So in business for a while, I learned things as well. So I can imagine folks just starting, you're going to learn here for your community, and that's what it's all about. It's proceed in whatever way we can. You're going to learn something.
What are the topics that would be useful to readers? And so,
yes, was there something here that you didn't get out of it? The folks are wonderful. They give us a lot of feedback forms, and we look at it and say, hey, 12 a day to make sure that people are getting great information.
People can be reluctant to give feedback, and so that's on the planning, and plus it helps that you're in the yourselves. So, and what are some of the attend you can learn more about, for example?
Absolutely. We're going to have SECO to a different venue because we outgrew the one we had in the previous one.